I killed my grandfather's dreams with a single lie, and in return, he left me the one thing that could resurrect them all, or burn everything down. The family called it mercy. I called it the spark that ignited the fuse. By the time the Mustang's engine roared to life under my hands, blood wasn't the only thing on the line. It was the soul of every secret we'd buried in the Rust Belt graveyards of our Midwestern hell. That night, as the clock struck midnight on his 80th birthday, Grandpa's eyes locked onto mine across the empty banquet hall, the kind of place where faded American flags hang like surrender flags from forgotten wars. "Ella," he rasped, voice like gravel under tires, "you're the only one who showed up. The rest? They scattered like roaches when the lights came on." He pressed the keys into my palm, cold and heavy as a loaded .45, and whispered, "Drive it like you mean it, kid. Make 'em pay for what they stole from us both." The weight of those keys burned a hole through my skin as I gripped the steering wheel of the '65 Mustang, its cherry red paint gleaming under the sodium lamps of the I-90 like fresh arterial spray on blacktop. It was 2 weeks after Grandpa's party, and I'd been driving aimlessly for hours, the engine's growl drowning out the static of classic rock on the AM radio, Springsteen wailing about ghosts in the heartland, fitting for a girl like me, haunted by the ghosts of my own making. Chicago's sprawl blurred past, the skeletal frames of shuttered steel mills, the neon haze of dive bars where deals went down in whispers, the endless ribbon of highway that promised escape but delivered only echoes. I wasn't always this way, wired for wreckage. Growing up in Blue Island, that forgotten armpit of Illinois where the Calumet River choked on industrial sludge, family was the only currency we had. Dad split when I was 6, chasing some floozy to Vegas with Mom's life savings tucked in his sock drawer. Mom? She drank herself into an early grave by 35, leaving me and my brother, Tommy, to fend for the scraps Grandpa tossed our way. He was the rock, the old-school grease monkey who'd clawed his way from Sicilian immigrant stock to owning a string of auto shops along the South Side. That Mustang? It wasn't just a car. It was his legend, pieced together from junkyard bones during the Nam fallout, when he came home with shrapnel in his soul and a hunger to build something unbreakable. But unbreakable? That's a lie we tell ourselves in this country, land of the free and home of the broke. The betrayal started small, like a hairline crack in a cylinder block. Tommy and I were thick as thieves back then, 18 and 20, fresh out of community college with grease under our nails and dreams bigger than the Sears Tower. Grandpa was grooming us to take over the shops. Me on the books, the numbers girl with a head for ledgers, Tommy on the floor, the charmer who could sell ice to Eskimos. We were his legacy, or so he said, pounding beers on the back porch while the sun dipped into Lake Michigan's oily shimmer. Then came the fire. July 2012, hotter than Satan's armpit, when a freak spark from a faulty weld torched Shop 3 on Halstead. Insurance called it arson, said someone doused the oil drums with accelerant, watched the flames lick up the walls like they were licking their chops. Cops hauled in half the neighborhood. The union boys with grudges, the rival chop shops from Cicero, even that slimy councilman who'd been shaking us down for protection. But it was Tommy who cracked first, sweat beading on his forehead like confession under the fluorescent buzz of the interrogation room. I took the fall for him. That's the hook they don't tell you about family loyalty. It's a noose you tie yourself. Tommy had done it, yeah, to cover a gambling debt to some outfit-wise guys who'd been leaning on him since his poker nights at the Elks Lodge turned south. 50 grand down the drain on bad hands, and worse luck. He torched the shop for the payout, figuring the insurance would bail us out, keep Grandpa in the black. But when the heat came down, he bawled like a baby, swore it was a setup, pointed fingers everywhere but his own mirror. And me? I stepped up. It was me. I told the detective, a gum-chewing Irishman named O'Leary with eyes like dirty dishwater. Needed the cash for tuition. Tommy had nothing to do with it. Lies have a half-life, and mine decayed slow. I pled out to felony arson, got 18 months at Logan Correctional, time enough to learn that prison chow tastes like regret fried in despair. Released on probation in 14, I came home to ashes. The shops sold off piecemeal to pay legal fees, Grandpa's hands shaking too bad to turn a wrench anymore. Tommy? He slithered into a sales gig at a Ford dealership up in Schaumburg, married his high school sweetheart Lisa, blonde, bubbly, the kind of girl who posts Bible verses on Facebook, and started popping out kids like he was building a suburb dynasty. He visited me once in the joint, all puppy dog eyes and I'm sorry, Elle, but by the time I walked out, he'd ghosted harder than Dad ever did. Grandpa never asked questions. He just nodded when I got out, handed me a Pabst from the fridge, and muttered, "Blood's thicker than the calsag, but it still floats shit to the top." Weary built in fragments. Him teaching me to restore classics in the garage behind his bungalow, me crunching numbers for freelance gigs, dodging the scarlet letter of my record like it was the plague. The Mustang stayed under a tarp, a sleeping dragon, until his 80th. The family reunion was a farce, cousins from the suburbs texting regrets about conflicts, aunts and uncles too busy with lake houses and Botox to drag their asses down from the North Shore. Only me, showing up in my thrift store sheath, nursing a flat beer while Grandpa cut into a sheet cake from Jewel-Osco. That's when he handed me the keys. Not in some hallmark moment, but raw, like passing a torch forged in hellfire. "They think you're the black sheep, Ella. Prove 'em wrong. Or burn the flock." His words hung there, laced with the emphysema rasp, eyes twinkling with that old Sicilian fire. I pocketed them, felt the metal bite into my thigh, and drove him home in an Uber, the silence thicker than the humidity. Now, 2 weeks later, with a Mustang's V8 humming like a threat, I was done playing nice. Tommy's betrayal wasn't just the fire, it was the erasure, the way he'd let me rot while he played white picket poster boy. And there was more, layers I'd unearthed in the months after my release, digging through Grandpa's shoebox of receipts like a junkie chasing a fix. The insurance payout? It never fully hit the shops. Tommy had skimmed 10 grand, funneled it to Lisa's boutique startup, a cutesy candle shop in Oak Park that smelled like vanilla lies. But the real gut punch was the secret Grandpa had buried deeper than Jimmy Hoffa. The fire wasn't just arson. It uncovered something uglier. A side hustle Grandpa ran in the 80s, fencing hot parts from the docks, back when the outfit owned the river like a mobster's mall. I'd taken the fall not just for Tommy, but to shield Grandpa's ghost from the light. Cops had sniffed around old manifests during the investigation, but my confession slammed the door. Tommy knew. Hell, he'd leveraged it, whispering to Grandpa that if he didn't back off the questions, I'd spill everything in court. Family, right? A web of vipers, each strike justified by protecting our own. The Mustang 8 miles like it was starving, carrying me west on the interstate toward Tommy's McMansion in the burbs. My plan crystallized in the rearview. Not violence. Grandpa raised me better than trailer park trash, but exposure, the kind that strips a man bare in the court of public opinion. I'd start with Lisa's shop, drop anonymous tips to the IRS about undeclared income, watch the dominoes fall. Controversial? Sure. In America, revenge isn't about justice. It's about the spectacle, the viral takedown that leaves everyone picking sides. Was I the villain for dragging innocence into the pyre? Or the hero, finally cashing in the IOU on my stolen years? Rain lashed the windshield as I hit Naperville, the wipers slapping like accusations. Tommy's place glowed like a false beacon, 2 stories of vinyl siding, a 3-car garage stuffed with his family man's toys, a lifted F-150, Lisa's Prius, and the kids' bikes chained like afterthoughts. I killed the engine a block away, slipped through the shadows like I'd learned in the yard at Logan, heart pounding a rhythm that could have powered the grid. Peering through the hedges, I saw them. Tommy on the couch, feet up, scrolling his phone while Lisa bustled in the kitchen, their 2 rugrats, ages 5 and 3, sprawled on the floor with iPads glowing blue. Domestic bliss, served with a side of hypocrisy. My phone buzzed, a text from Aunt Rosie, one of the no-shows. "Heard about the car, Ella. Don't do anything stupid. Family sticks together." I snorted, thumbs flying. Tell that to the one who lit the match. Slipping back to the Mustang, I fired it up, the exhaust burbling low and mean. Phase 1. Rattle the cage. I peeled out, tires chirping, and aimed for the candle shop, Little Flames, it was called, all farmhouse chic and overpriced soy wax. Closed for the night, but the back alley was lit by a single bulb, dumpster reeking of melted dreams. I jimmied the lock with a Slim Jim from Grandpa's kit. Old habits die hard, and inside, the air hung sweet and cloying, shelves lined with jars labeled Midwest Serenity and Heartland Hope. Bullshit. In the office, a laptop hummed on sleep mode. Password? Lisa's birthday, easy as pie. Files spilled open, receipts padded like a hooker's bra, cash deposits funneled through a shell account at a credit union in Joliet. 10 grand from the fire skim, laundered into soy and cents. I plugged in a thumb drive, copied it all, then left a calling card. The Mustang's keys dangling from the monitor like a noose. Not mine, duplicates I'd had cut that morning. Let him wonder. By dawn, I was back in Blue Island, crashing on Grandpa's sagging couch, the old man snoring upstairs like a freight train. Dreams came fractured, flames licking my skin, Tommy's laugh echoing, the Mustang morphing into a hearse. Woke to coffee brewing, black as pitch, and Grandpa's voice from the kitchen. You look like hell warmed over, girl. Spill it. I did, over burnt toast, and the Tribune's obits. His face hardened, lines etching deeper than the Calumet's banks. Knew it was him, even back then.
But you.
You carried it for all of us. He paused, eyes distant. The shops, the life, that was my sin too. Fencing for the family, back when Reagan was pretending the Rust Belt didn't exist. Tommy found the ledgers, used and like a shank. Why didn't you fight? I pressed, voice cracking. He shrugged, shoulders sagging under flannel. America's a machine, Ella. You feed it lies, or it grinds you to rust. But that car's yours now. Use it to grind back. The day blurred into reconnaissance, tailing Tommy to his dealership, watching him glad-hand customers in khakis and a polo that screamed, upwardly mobile. He flipped a used Explorer to a soccer mom, all grins and family values, while I seethed in the parking lot, the Mustang's dash a altar of vengeance. Evening brought the first ripple, a call from an unknown number. Lisa, voice shrill as a tea kettle.
Ella?
What the hell? Tommy's keys are in my office, and the computer's. Someone's been in it. I feigned innocence, drawl thick with South Side sarcasm. Keys? Must have been the wind, Lee's. Or maybe ghosts from the past rattling chains.
Click.
Let it fester. By week's end, the IRS pinged. Anonymous tip filed, my prints nowhere near. Tommy's text blew up my burner. WTFL? This you? We're family. I replied with a photo. The Mustang's grill, chrome teeth bared. Family? That's rich coming from the arsonist in the suburbs. He called, voice a mix of bluster and beg. You don't get it. I did it for us, for Dad's debts, for keeping the shops afloat before the fire even hit. Grandpa's secrets would have tanked everything. Lies, Tommy. You did it for you. And I paid. Silence then. Meet me. Neutral ground. The old shop lot on Halstead. Tonight. Trap? Maybe. But in the Game of Thrones we called kinship, every move was checkered. I geared up, the Mustang's glove box hiding a tire iron, not for swinging, but symbol. Dusk fell like a shroud as I rolled into the lot, weeds cracking the asphalt, ghosts of welders passed whispering in the wind. Tommy waited by the chain link, silhouette sharp against the skyline, hands jammed in pockets like a kid caught swiping smokes. Ella, he started, stepping forward, that salesman's smile flickering. Let's talk this out. Lisa's freaking the kids. Man, probation violation for you means. Save it. I cut him, killing the engine. The silence amplified his swallow. You let me do 18 months for your fuck-up. Skimmed the payout for her little empire. And Grandpa's dirt? You blackmailed him with it, didn't you? To keep your hands clean. His face crumpled, then hardened, flip number 1. The charmer to the cornered rat.
Yeah, I did.
Because someone had to think ahead. You were always the martyr, L, playing noble while the world chewed us up. Grandpa's fencing? That shit would have landed him in Supermax if it came out. I protected the name, Our name. Protected? You profited. I tossed the thumb drive at his feet, files glinting in the moonlight. IRS has it now. Watch your house of cards fold. He lunged, not for me, but the drive, desperation painting him feral.
You bitch.
This destroys everything. We grappled, brief and brutal, his nails raking my arm before I shoved him back, the tire iron clattering from my grip. He snatched it, eyes wild, raising it like judgment, but froze, breath heaving. Flip 2. Rage to regret.
Yeah.
I didn't mean. God, what are we? America. I spat, backing toward the car, where the strong eat the weak, and families just the menu. I peeled out, leaving him in the dust, heart hammering like the V8. But as the taillights faded, doubt crept in. Was this revenge, or just recycling the poison? The Mustang carried me home, but the road ahead twisted darker, riddled with turns I couldn't foresee. The fallout hit like a Chicago gale, whipping through the family grapevine faster than gossip at a block party. By Monday, Aunt Rosie's calls turned from pleas to pitches. Ella, honey, let's mediate. Tommy's beside himself, says it was all a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? That's code for we'll bury it deeper. The Midwestern way of papering over cracks with casserole and denial. I ghosted her, let the silence scream, while the Mustang became my fortress, idling in Grandpa's driveway like a sentinel forged from Detroit steel. Grandpa watched it all with quiet amusement, nursing his oxygen tank on the porch swing, the hiss punctuating his gravel chuckles. Reminds me of '68, he'd say, eyes on the horizon where factories once belched promise. Summer of riots, and me dodging draftees while restoring this beast. Secrets were currency then too, outfit drops at the docks, parts hot as hijacked semis. Your dad got mixed up in it young, thought he was Tony Soprano till they clipped his wings with a one-way ticket to Sin City.
Dad.
The ghost I'd half forgotten, the absentee who'd seeded this mess. Grandpa's tales peeled back layers. Turns out, Tommy's gambling wasn't random. It echoed Dad's old habits, bookies from the '90s who'd funded his disappearances. And the fire? Tommy's Hail Mary to square a debt that traced back to Dad's IOUs, inherited like a bad gene. I'd borne the blame not just for a brother, but a bloodline sins, arson as absolution for generations of hustles. It fueled me, that revelation, turning simmer to boil. I escalated. Anonymous posts on the local Reddit, r/Chicago suburbs, that viper pit of Karens and crypto bros, detailing insider knowledge on Little Flame's shady books. No names at first, just enough to stir the pot. Heard that cute candle shop on Lake Street is washing cash from insurance scams. Smells fishy, right? Comments exploded, half decrying witch hunts, the other half piling on with finally some accountability. Polarizing, just like the Heartland playbook. Red versus blue, even in suburbia. Lisa's shop shuttered by Wednesday, yellow tape fluttering like surrender flags, her Instagram going dark amid pleas for prayers and support.
Tommy?
He lawyered up, retained some ambulance chaser from Elmhurst, filing a restraining order that named me as the harasser. Probation officer called Thursday, voice all bureaucratic frost. Miss Rossi, violations like this could send you back inside. Keep your nose clean.
Clean?
In this family, clean was a myth, like the American dream for folks without trust funds. I met the twist head-on Friday night, rain sheeting the windshield as I tailed Tommy from the dealership to a seedy joint off Mannheim Road, the rusty nail, neon sign flickering like a dying pulse. Parked in the shadows, I watched him slide into a booth with a guy I recognized from mugshots in Grandpa's scrapbook. Vinny the Weasel Moretti, low-level outfit remnant, face like a bulldog who'd lost too many bites. They huddled close, whispers lost to the jukebox's twang of Merle Haggard, but body language screamed payoff. Tommy sliding an envelope, Vinny nodding like a Don accepting tribute. Betrayal's second act. My brother, clean-cut family man, dipping back into the muck to save his skin. I snapped photos from the Mustang's dash cam, the rain blurring edges, but not intent. Vinny was the ghost of Grandpa's past, the fence who'd taken cuts on those hot parts in the 80s. Tommy wasn't just skimming. He was resurrecting the family curse, trading IRS heat for mob muscle to intimidate the tipster, me. Hard in my throat, I slipped inside, hood up against the downpour, ordering a bud at the scarred bar. Ears pricked, fragments of their talk. That sister of yours, stirring shit. Handle it quiet, or the old man's legend goes up in smoke. Tommy's voice, edged with that flip again. Desperate brother to desperate dealer. Vinny chuckled, low and wet. For old times, Rossi. But it costs. And if she spills on the fire, well, accidents happen. I bolted before they clocked me. Mustang roaring to life, splashing through puddles like tears on pavement. Home meant confrontation. Grandpa deserved the truth, his secrets weaponized against his own blood. He was awake when I burst in, TV murmuring infomercials, the oxygen tube a snake across his lap. Girl, he wheezed, sensing the storm, you look like you saw the devil. Or worse, family. I spilled it. The meat, the envelope, Vinny's name dropping like a guillotine. Grandpa's face drained, papery skin going ghost white. That weasel. Thought he was long gone, bought off with a vet in 92. He coughed, a rattle like loose change in a tin cup. Tommy's playing with fire he can't put out. The outfit don't forgive IOUs. Ask your dad. We plotted in whispers, the kitchen table a war room littered with faded Polaroids, Grandpa young and grinning beside the Mustang, Dad a sullen teen, Tommy and me toddlers in the shop dust. Expose them both, Grandpa urged, fist clenched. But smart, no Lone Ranger bullshit.
Call O'Leary.
That cop from your case? He's clean, hates the weasels more than he hates plea deals. O'Leary? The detective who'd bought my confession hook, line, and sinker. Retired now, but grudges don't pension out. I tracked him to a VFW hall in Evergreen Park, the kind of place where vets swap war stories over watery drafts. He remembered me, eyes narrowing over his Bud Light. Rossi. Thought you were straight now. What's the play? Truth partial. Tommy's mob dip, the fire's real spark, Grandpa's old sins as context. O'Leary leaned back, chair creaking like bones. Kid, this town's built on half-truths. You drop this bomb, it blows back, on you, the old man, those kids of his. Controversial don't cover it, it's a goddamn civil war. But he bit, old instincts flaring. Gimme proof. I'll poke the bear quiet like. I handed over the photos, watched his jaw set like concrete. Stay low, Ella. And drive that Mustang careful, cops love pulling classics for fun. The weekend blurred into tension, Tommy's texts escalating to voicemails, voice cracking with that flip 3, bully to broken. L, please. Vinny's no joke. Meet me again, the riverfront. End this. Trap 2, obvious as a marked deck. But curiosity's a bitch, and so was I. Sunday dusk, Calumet River churning brown under the 106th Street Bridge. I rolled up slow, Mustang's headlights cutting fog like accusations. He was there alone, or so it seemed, pacing the cracked pavement, collar up against the chill.
Ella?
Relief flooded his face, arms opening like we'd rewind to kids skipping stones. I stayed in the car, window cracked. Talk. He did, spilling like a busted hydrant. The debt's deeper than Dad's, Vinny squeezing for protection on the dealership now, Lisa clueless, but the kids. They're innocent, L. I fucked up the fire. Yeah, thought it was victimless, insurance glitch. But you taking it?
Broke me.
I've been paying ever since, in guilt and grease. Flip 4, confession to conspiracy. Vinny knows about Grandpa's ledgers. Threatened to out M unless I facilitate. The envelope? Seed money to buy silence on your tips. My grip tightened on the wheel. So, you're pimping the family legacy to save your ass? Again? It's not. A shadow shifted behind him, Vinny materializing from the gloom, flanked by 2 goons in leather jackets, faces like moon craters. Just business, sweetheart. Vinny's grin was all teeth, no warmth. Tommy's eyes widened, betrayed? Or bait? Get in the car, L. Tommy yelled, But Vinny's hand clamped his shoulder. Tire iron, my tire iron, from the shop, lot glinting in his grip.
Nah, Rossi.
Family reunions just starting. Your sister's got stories about fires, fences, the works. Time to settle scores. Heart slamming, I gunned the engine, Mustang lunging forward in a spray of gravel. Vinny swung wild, iron glancing the fender with a metallic scream, but I fishtailed free, tires howling as I barreled toward the bridge's span. Rear view. Tommy scrambling after, Vinny's crew piling into a black Escalade, headlights blooming like malevolent eyes. The chase ignited, highway merging into nightmare, the Calumet's toxic glow a blur below. I wove lanes, Mustang suspension groaning over potholes, pushing 60 in a 45, the V8 begging for more. Vinny's ride closed, a battering ram of chrome and menace, bumper kissing mine in a grind of sparks. Phone buzzed O'Leary. Got your ping.
CPD en route.
Hold the line. Hold. In this fun house of flips, holding meant folding. Tommy's voice cut through on speaker. L, pull over. It's a setup. Vinny played me. Betrayal's echo. Or truth. I swerved hard, clipping a guardrail. The river yawning black below. The Escalade fishtailed, slamming a semi. Metal symphony of crunch and curse, buying me space. Sirens wailed distant, then close, blue-red strobing the fog. I eased off, coasting to the shoulder as cop cruisers swarmed, Vinny's crew spilling out with hands up, Tommy cuffed amid pleas of, it wasn't me. O'Leary rolled up last, nodding grim through the window. Nice driving, kid. Got enough to bury the weasel. Extortion, conspiracy. Your bro? He'll sing like Sinatra for a deal. Relief crashed, bitter as black coffee. I nodded, numb, the Mustang ticking cool under my hands. But as they hauled Tommy away, his eyes met mine, pleading, then hardening. This ain't over, L. You started the war. War? In America, it's always been raging, class against class, blood against blood. I drove home slow, the night's adrenaline ebbing to ache, wondering if I'd won the battle, or just reloaded the chamber. Grandpa waited with whiskey, poured neat in jelly jars. Heard the chatter on the scanner. You okay? I collapsed beside him, the porch swing creaking our weight.
Yeah, but Tommy.
He flipped on me, or Vinny flipped him.
Doesn't matter.
It's all poison. He clinked my glass, eyes sharp. Poison's the price of truth here. But you, girl, you drove through it. That's the Rossi way. We sat in silence, the river's murmur a lullaby of unrest, the Mustang parked like a trophy, or a target. Monday brought the media circus. Local news vans clogging the dealership lot, headlines screaming suburb scandal. Arson cover-up ties to mob remnants.
Lisa's boutique?
Foreclosed, candles auctioned for pennies. Tommy lawyered harder, flipping to state's witness against Vinny for immunity, his pleas now public mea culpas on the evening news. I failed my family. Seeking redemption. Gag-worthy, but it split the viewers. Pundits on WGN debating. Was it justice or jealousy? Sibling rivalry gone toxic.
Me?
I dodged the spotlight, holing up with Grandpa, restoring a '72 Chevelle in the garage to keep hands busy. But the twist loomed, coiled in the shadows of what O'Leary dropped casual over coffee. One more thread, Ella. Your confession back then?
We always knew it stank.
Tommy's deal includes recanting, means reopening your case. Exoneration, maybe. But it drags the old man's history into court.
Fencing zap, wine tampering.
You ready for that fire? Choice, my freedom, bought with Grandpa's fall. Controversial as hell. Sacrifice the savior for the saved? I mulled it over drives along Lake Shore, the Mustangs top down, wind whipping doubts into frenzy. Family fractured further, Aunt Rosie cutting me off with a final text, monster, while cousins DM'd support, about time someone called BS. The climax brewed midweek, Tommy out on bond, summoning me to neutral ground. The VFW, O'Leary's old haunt, ironclad with witnesses. I arrived wary, the Mustang's rumble announcing me like thunder. Inside, the The air hung thick with stale beer and regret, vets nursing drafts at the bar. Tommy sat alone at a corner table, hollow-eyed, a ghost of the glad-hander. "Sit," he said, voice stripped bare. "No flip this time, just fatigue." We talked raw, the fire's genesis in Dad's shadow, the skim as panic, the mob as cornered rat clawback. "I hated you for taking it," he admitted, fingers tracing scars from childhood scuffles. "Made it easy to forget. But this? You've gutted me. Elise is leaving kids with her." "Worth it. Worth it," I echoed, fire rising. "You gutted me first. 18 months of concrete and catfights for your protection. Grandpa's dreams, torched for your dice rolls."
He nodded, slow.
"Recant means I own it, all of it. You walk free, but the family's name?
Mud.
And Dad's secrets. They'll exhume him too, paint us all as wise guy wannabes." The door swung, Vinny's shadow long, but no, just O'Leary, nodding approval.
No ambos.
"Just us, siblings in the wreckage. Sign the affidavit." Tommy pushed a folder across. "End it right." My pen hovered, heart a war drum. "Sign, and I reclaim my life. Record expunged, fresh start, Mustang as freedom ride." But Grandpa's ledger exposed, his golden years and stripes? Or refuse, let Tommy twist, preserve the myth at my expense? Polarizing perfection, no heroes, just survivors picking shrapnel from the blast. I signed. "For me," I said. "Not you." His relief cracked, then crumbled, flip final. Gratitude to grief. I deserved worse. Outside, the Mustang waited, keys warm in my pocket. But as I fired it up, phone buzzed. "Lisa," voice venom. "You destroyed us, Ella." "For what? A car?"
Click.
The divide deepened. Family cleaved, me the blade. The exoneration hearing was a farce wrapped in bureaucracy, held in a Cook County courtroom that smelled of despair and discount pine cleaner. October light slanted through barred windows, gilding the judge's gavel like fool's gold. Tommy testified first, voice steady but eyes darting, recanting the lie, owning the arson in flat Midwestern tones. My sister covered for me out of love. I let her. Biggest regret of my life. The gallery murmured, a mix of reporters from the Sun-Times and family stragglers, and rosy glaring daggers, a cousin filming for TikTok drama. O'Leary took the stand next, badge retired but authority intact, laying out the fire's forensics, accelerant traces matching Tommy's work boots, skimmed funds traced to little flames. Vinny's crew? Already pleading out in federal court, the weasel singing louder than a canary on payday. Then Grandpa's turn. The old man wheeled in, oxygen tank hissing like a sidearm, ledger produced as Exhibit A, sins of the father. He rasped to the judge, a no-nonsense Polish woman named Kowalski. "But the boy's paying now. Let the girl breathe free." Questions flew. Was the fencing active during the fire? No, dormant since the 90s, a ghost haunting the books. Did it influence the cover-up? Indirectly, leverage in family fractures. Kowalski peered over specs, her verdict a hammer. Case dismissed. Record sealed. "Ms. Rossi, you're a free citizen again." Gavel cracked, and just like that, the noose loosened. But freedom's a double-edged blade in the land of opportunity knocks. Outside, flashbulbs popped like gunfire, reporters swarming. "Ella, was it worth tearing your family apart?" I shoved through. Mustang waiting like a getaway horse, Grandpa's hand on my arm steadying.
Ignore em kid.
They're vultures on roadkill. Home meant fallout. Headlines branding me, the arson avenger. Op-eds debating if sibling sabotage was feminist fire or fraternal felony. Social media split the nation in micro. Justice for Ella trending with fist emojis, countered by family-first rants calling me a vindictive harpy. Polarized paradise, where every click cashed in on controversy. Tommy vanished into house arrest, his McMansion a cage. Lisa filing for divorce with custody clause out. He wrote once, a letter scrawled on legal pad. "You gave me the out I didn't deserve. Hate me forever, it's fair. But the kids ask about Aunt L doors open if you want it." I burned it in the garage fire pit, ashes swirling like doubts, but kept the Mustang's ashtray empty. No room for what-ifs. Grandpa's health tanked post-hearing, the stress a thief in the night. November brought pneumonia, the kind that hits old lungs like a sledge. I nursed him fierce. Broths from scratch, classic rock low on the stereo, stories of the Mustang's glory days to chase the fever dreams. Remember 75? He'd murmur, delirious. Race that prick from Gary down Route 66, 60 grand on the line. Won by a bumper. Bought your grandma's ring. I'd nod, throat tight, the car parked visible from his bed like a talisman. The end came quiet, dawn of Thanksgiving, monitors beeping flat in the hospice room off Pulaski. He slipped holding my hand, last words a whisper. Drive far, Ella. Make the legend yours. No service, his wish, ashes scattered in the calumet, a Viking funeral minus the flames. Family showed sparse. Tommy paroled early for good behavior, standing distant on the riverbank, eyes red but posture proud. We didn't speak, just nodded, truce in the tension, or time out till round 2. Winter gripped Chicago like a grudge, snow blanketing the rust in false purity. I sold the shop's remnants, no. Wait, kept one, the original on Halstead, rechristened Rossi Restorations. Hired ex-cons from Logan, gave second chances I never got, turning wrenches into worth. The Mustang? My daily, top-down even in flurries, wind a therapy sharper than shrinks. But the twist, the real gut twist, hit spring, green shoots mocking the graves we dug. A letter arrived, postmarked Vegas, no return. Dad. Alive, holed up in a Henderson trailer park, cancer gnawing his liver like it was settling scores. Saw the news, kiddo. Proud? Nah, but alive something. The debts Tommy chased?
Mine, almine.
Come see an old fool before the house wins final hand. Shocks a silent assassin. Dad, the phantom who'd haunted our hustles, now flesh begging forgiveness? I drove west, Mustang eating interstates like penance, 500 miles of heartland blur, cornfields to canyons, billboards preaching Jesus and jackpots. Vegas shimmered mirage-like, the Strip a neon fever dream clashing with my steel resolve. He waited in a Denny's off the 15, shrunken in a booth, oxygen mask fogging his regrets. Face like weathered leather, eyes the same blue as Tommy's, family curse in Technicolor. Ella, he croaked, standing awkward. Grown into a Spitfire, huh? We talked till the hash browns congealed, his flight not cowardice but cover. Outfit heat after a botched fence, faking the split to draw fire from us. The gambling? Escape, then addiction. Debts snowballing till Tommy's fire was echo of his own sparks. I read about the exoneration. You carried it all. My mess, your brother's. Stronger than your old man ever was. Controversial crossroads. Forgive the architect of our ache? Or walk? Leave him to the slots and solitude? He pulled an envelope from his jacket, yellowed, stuffed with cash, maybe 20 grand. From the old days.
Clean now.
For the shop or whatever. And this. A key, not car, but safe deposit box in Chicago. Your grandma's jewelry.
Kept it safe.
Deserve it more than me. I took it, the weight lighter than expected. Why now? Cancer's the great confessor.
And you.
You revenged us without the gun. That's the American way, fight dirty, win clean. We hugged brittle, his frame fragile as hope, then I left him there, coffee cooling, the Mustang carrying me east into sunrise. Back home, the box yielded heirlooms, gold locket with Mom's photo, earrings that caught light like captured fire. Sold none, kept them, talismans against the void. Tommy surfaced tentative, a Father's Day card for the kids, my name CC'd, bridge tentative. I replied neutral, healing. No promises but no pyre. Summer bloomed vengeful sweet. Rossi Restorations thrived, clients from the North Shore slumming for authenticity. The Mustang a billboard on wheels. Media faded, but the debate lingered in bars and basements. Podcasts parsing, Ella's reckoning. Hero or homewrecker? I tuned out, focused on the roar. The road ahead uncharted but mine. Was it happy? Tragic? Depends on your lens. America's funhouse mirror, where revenge rebuilds or raises, and no one's hands stay clean. Grandpa's legend lived in every rev, every client story of second starts. Tommy rebuilt slow, Lisa co-parenting distant, kids growing with Annie visits, thawing the ice. Dad? Laskin said months. I wired cash, visited twice more, closure, not cure. And me? Ella Rossi, driver of dreams, revenger of rust. The Mustang purred under me as I crested the skyway, Chicago's skyline a jagged promise. Betrayal's scars faded to stories, the engine song a hymn to the flawed, the fierce. In the heartland hustle, that's victory. Not perfection, but persistence. Drive on.